What's up, YouTube? So before we get started with this video, on First Take, they're going to be talking about, can Zion Williamson still catch Ja Morant in Rookie of the Year? So let's see what they have to say about that.
Our Bubble or Nothing series continues today with a look at the Pelicans season and who will be chasing one of the most coveted playoff spots. Zion will be key in their playoff chase as he is currently averaging nearly 24 points per game. Kendrick Perkins back with us right here on First Take. Stephen A. Smith, I want to start with you. Can Zion catch up with Ja in this Player of the Year race, you think?
Nope, there's no way.
I say yes tentatively, shyly, because I know that it's probably not going to happen. There's only 8 games left in the regular season. Guys, allow me this little bit of latitude. When I was asked this question, I wasn't thinking about the fact that 8 games remained. I was thinking about the fact that, 65 games had already been played, 17 games left in the regular season. And I think that while most folks would still say, hell no, you can't catch Ja Morant, I'm thinking about things that transcend just on-court play. And here's what I mean by this. Zion Williamson's, just magnetic attraction, the box office appeal. Zion Williamson, New Orleans out of the picture, but creeping up on Memphis, just 3.5 games back. My mentality has been Zion averaging 23 and 6 on better than 50% shooting from the field, 46% shooting from three-point range. If Ja Morant was to fade significantly and Zion elevated and they ended up in the postseason instead of Ja Morant, I think people would look at the fact that even though Ja Morant has played, 40 games more than Zion Williamson, 59-19 this season, I think that if New Orleans had ended up in the playoffs and Ja Morant and the Memphis Grizzlies had faded and faltered and allowed New Orleans to catch them, I think that would have given Zion Williamson the Rookie of the Year. It's just that I have to recognize the fact that there's only 8 games left in the season. I guess what I'm saying to you, you can use that against me, but that's the only thing I think you could use. Outside of that, I look at the other stuff that I mentioned, and I'd say that Zion could catch him.
How you going to still?
So there's no way Zion Williamson can still get Rookie of the Year over Ja Morant. So what has Ja Morant played in, 3 times more games than Zion Williamson has played in? I mean, this doesn't make any type of sense that we're even having this conversation at this point in time. So let's take a quick look at the stats for those guys. So Zion Williamson has been averaging 23.6 points a game. I think that's 15th overall for players, but don't quote me on that. 6.8 rebounds, 2.2 assists, and his PER is 24.32. So needless to say, those are some pretty good stats for a rookie. And if Zion Williamson was able to do that the whole season, I would definitely say, hands down, he's the Rookie of the Year. But unfortunately, he's really only played in a quarter of this season. I know it's not his fault because he was injured, but still, you have to be on the court playing to get any type of, awards. I mean, it doesn't make any type of sense. This isn't a popularity contest. So let's take a quick look at Ja Morant's stats. So he's been putting up or averaging 17.6 points a game. That's 52nd overall for players. 3.5 rebounds. That's 150th plus for players. 6.9 assists. That's 13th overall for players. And his PER is 18.02. So needless to say, Ja Morant, his stats aren't as strong as Zion Williamson's. But the thing is, he's been consistent with it all year. All year he's been consistent in playing, and that's the difference. I don't care. This isn't a popularity contest. This isn't any of that. It's what you've done on the court. And if you've only been on the court a quarter of the games and the other guy's been playing the whole season, there's no way you can get it. So let's continue.
This opportunity from me. I was just coming in so excited about dunking on you about this awful opinion, and then you went and took it all away from me. So Zion's chance of winning.
I'm sorry I did a Max on you. I learned that from Max. My bad.
So,
I took 5 different points. I'm sorry, Dominic. I don't want to do that. That's my bad.
I forgive you. But Zion his impact on the team has been incredible. Their efficiency was 24th before he joined, jumped up to 7th. They have a winning record. They had a losing record before. And I do understand that Zion's appeal in his popularity, puts him in a position where it's possible that if they come and overtake the Grizzlies and then beat them to get into the playoffs in that play-in scenario, that maybe people will start to think about his impact and say that maybe he is the Rookie of the Year. But I think it's impossible given the number of games that he's played. Zion's played 19 games up until this point. If he plays all 8, it'll go to 27. That is just 39% of the games for the season. The only other players who have, or the two lowest number of games played for people to win Rookie of the Year was Vince Carter and Patrick Ewing, and they played 61% of this season, which was 50 games at that time. So I think it's hugely unlikely, but maybe the popularity of Zion carries him. But if you're only going to play 39% of the games, I can't imagine that people would say that you're an MVP. You can't even play over half. I can't imagine people would say that you are Rookie of the Year over Ja Morant, who took a team that was supposed to be in the lottery and surprised a lot of people and got them into the playoffs. So I think we all are probably going to agree by the end of this segment on this one, right, Kendrick?
So going against what Stephen A. Smith said, this isn't a popularity contest. I don't care if he's box office. That's not the criteria of getting Rookie of the Year. It's about what you've done on the court. I don't care how many seats you fill, how much money you make for the owners, the NBA, or whatever. It's about what you've done on the court. And Zion has missed 3/4 of the season. So I don't understand why is this even a conversation, because what it is, it's really insulting to Ja Morant and everything that he's done and all the other rookies from all past years that have played a whole season. Just because the guy is super popular doesn't mean he should get awards when he hasn't been playing. That's the whole point of it. You have to play. So I don't know. I don't even care if Zion Williamson makes it to the finals and wins the finals and becomes a champion. I still think Ja Morant should be Rookie of the Year because it's about what you've done the regular season. So I don't know. Let's continue.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't even think it's close. I think it's signed, sealed, and delivered to Ja Morant. Listen, the body of work that Ja Morant has put in over this past season in 59 games, averaging 17 points, shooting 50%, averaging close to 7 assists, and he got the Memphis Grizzlies in the 8th spot. Forget catching the 8th spot. They're in the 8th spot, and that speaks volumes to me. Listen, both of these guys are generational talent. Yes, Zion Williamson is box office, right, because of the hype, and he's lived up to it in this sample size that we've seen him in 19 games. But when you look at Ja Morant, this kid is a generational talent also. I'm talking about, to me, he's a combination of Kyrie Irving, Russell Westbrook, with dimes like Rajon Rondo. And we've never seen a guy like this, not a guy at this age to take over a franchise with the leadership that he's doing. Now, kudos to Zion because he's a beast. He's must-see TV, but let's not act like Ja Morant isn't either. And I don't even think it's close because, of the games that's being played. Now, mind I tell you, if Zion would have played 50% of the season, we would have an argument. But I don't even think this is a debate. I don't even care what happens down there in the bubble. Zion could go down there and ball out. But guess what? Ja Morant ain't letting off the gas. He's going to ball out too, because just like Zion took advantage of this pandemic, Ja Morant did the same thing by going put on 12 pounds of muscle. And this kid is fearless. He's relentless. And I just think he's hands down the Rookie of the Year. That's just me.
Well,
So I'm going to have to agree with Kendrick Perkins on this one. Definitely Ja Morant deserves Rookie of the Year. I like Zion Williamson. I think he's a beast and everything that goes along with that. But you have to be playing in order to get that award. And again, I don't care. This isn't a popularity contest. So if Ja Morant doesn't win Rookie of the Year and Zion Williamson wins it, I know it's all rigged and it's all a popularity contest and it's not about what you do on the court. And like I said before, this is kind of insulting to Ja Morant that you would even bring up Zion Williamson when the guy's only played, less than a quarter or a little over a quarter of the season. So, I don't know.
Now, Stephen A., which team would you rather see make the playoffs, the Grizzlies or the Pelicans?
Well, me personally, the Pelicans, because I think that I think that Memphis is about Zion, and I think that the Pelicans are about more than Zion personally. But to get back and to piggyback off of Kendrick Perkins' original point, let's remember something that's incredibly important. I'm saying if Zion was to elevate, and again, 8 games is not nearly enough, so I get that. I can see that. It needed to be at least half the season. But if Zion had played the final 17, 18 games, and they made the playoffs at the expense of the Memphis Grizzlies and at the expense of Ja Morant, who both faded, then I promise you there would have been people out there calling for Zion to have been Rookie of the Year. Wouldn't have been me, wouldn't have been you, because we got to take into account the body of work. Wouldn't have been Dominique, but there'd be an awful lot of people that talk about Zion's impact and how it was at the expense of Memphis. I just don't think 8 games is enough to offset what Ja Morant did over the first 59 games, and I totally agree with you. He is a general.